on and on. She was cited for serving underage kids alcohol. Her rap sheet is as long as my left arm.
Now, but you really got to look into this and find out if these were actually domestic violence convictions. Because if they are, neither one of them would be allowed to own firearms.
Well, I think
they were dropped, right?
I think he may have dropped the charge against her. His was in Colorado. I think the first-time offender after 2 years of probation and counseling. I think they drop it. So he's not, and he hasn't had any domestic violence that we're aware of since then. But yeah, I mean, if you were right, they wouldn't be allowed guns in the home. But yeah. I think they're within the law these days, remarkably.
What about the incident in Utah where her sister-in-law was injured in that? What's the update on that?
Yeah, again, it goes on and on and on, dude. It's in I think it was Mother's Day of 2020. We had originally reported to 2019, and we got that date wrong. It was obviously an innocent mistake on our part. But it was May of 2020. Her family was over in Moab, outside of just on the other side of the border from Colorado. Anyway, evidently, having a family weekend, and they had another Razor, four-wheel drive ATV that they were out cruising around, and evidently, according to Tori Hooper, her former sister-in-law, they'd been drinking, and she and Tori were in the front of the ATV. Boebert was driving. Evidently her minor son and dog were in the back two seats, and they went down a hill, and evidently Boebert lost control of the ATV, and it was imminent that they were going to slam into a rock face must have been at a decent speed. And Ms. Hooper claims that Boebert bailed out of the ATV at that point. Boebert says that she was knocked out of the ATV, irrespective, she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. And Hooper had to lean over and grab control of the ATV, the steering wheel, and in the process was evidently ejected into the rock wall face and had severe facial injuries. We don't know whether the child was injured or the dog was injured, but she never filed. Utah requires you to file a police report for any off-road accident within 48 hours of the accident. She never filed that.
Okay. And that dog wasn't shot. That dog didn't get shot, right?
Yeah. And then down the road, Ms. Hooper evidently had to be flown for emergency facial injuries. Once she got back home, they had to fly her up via life flight to a local hospital. So, it was a pretty serious situation that she never reported. She denied it initially, saying it never happened. And then later on she said it did happen, but nobody was injured and it wasn't that big a deal. Well, she still hasn't filed a police report as required by law. And then she also, her people, her staff, she never talks directly to the press. It's always through a spokesperson or a written statement, unlike us. We take it on from the press and others directly. She claimed that at the time she wasn't drinking, and as proof of that, she doesn't drink. Well, that doesn't say that she didn't drink back then. I mean, so they come up with these lame ways to cover up for her all the time, and it's just lies. It's all lies all the time with these people.
Didn't one of her press or comms people quit recently? Was that her?
No, that was right after the insurrection. One of her, and this was a month into her tenure in Congress. Her first press person quit after she had tweeted that Nancy Pelosi had been removed from the House.
Right. Do you know if she's one of the people who asked for a pardon?
There's a lot of speculation that she did. I haven't seen anything written in the press that says she directly did. It wouldn't surprise me.
Returning back to this Moab, Utah incident, wasn't that one of the big allegations that David Wheeler doesn't know what he's talking about and it's all fake and it's all false? And wasn't that one of the things that was brought up on Hannity and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was all lumped together. What they do is we made a couple errors. The date again, 2019 instead of 2020. There was a picture in question of her sitting on a bed, looking like like somebody all dolled up for the night. And that was supposedly another woman. And rather than argue the topic, we didn't care whether it was her or not. We just took the picture down. Well, they used those two instances to take a battering ram to our credibility, as if those two instances meant that the entire report was wrong. And, to this day, we stand by what our sources told us about Moab, about her abortions, about her paid escort days, and they don't seem to understand that those two minor instances had nothing to do with the overall stories.
Yeah, if the audience wants to go through my archives, I did a show called Certificate of Authenticity, okay? Making fun of the fact check, thing. And I go through every little thing point by point by point. Everyone conflates that stupid picture with the
well, that's true, Ed. And you have to understand that, we didn't just make this crap up out of whole cloth. I mean, it was... That story about her has been on the internet since at least 2020, long before I even knew who Lauren Boebert was. So it's that story, the call girl, the abortion story has been on Twitter and Facebook for at least since early 2021, long before we got involved.
Now, even if you just Google Lauren Boebert Explore Talent, that picture's going to come up. So it's not like David Wheeler or Muckrakers, American Muckrakers invented that. Yeah. What about the Shooter's Restaurant? I hear they've been shutted down. They've been shuttered.
Well, the original owner sold the building to a new owner, and the new owner was quoted in the press as saying that he felt like he had a moral obligation to not renew her lease, and he didn't. And that was in July of this year. And although she still claims she's a successful young or small business owner or restaurateur, that business doesn't even exist anymore. And supposedly, again, according to the facts that she filed with the House clerk, it was losing $150,000 to $175,000 a year. So I don't know how that makes her a successful business person, but it's long gone, and probably to the locals, good riddance.
Yeah, and you can Google employees complaining about their paychecks and all kind of stuff with the.
Well, that and worse yet, she was a vendor at a local festival or event, and 80 people ended up with salmonella poisoning.
Any deaths?
80 documented people.
Any deaths? Any gunshot victims at that event?
Yeah, no.
Nothing over there either?
I don't think so, though. But it ended up giving the restaurant a new moniker, which we can't talk about. We can't say on the air. But it starts with N and ends with S. So
I remember that, too.
Starts with S and ends with S. Sorry.
So what do you got? Anything else with Boebert?
Well, that's it. I mean, we're working on right now. We're working on a video montage of her 3-day vacation in Nashville. There's a couple other things coming down the pike regarding her, but every day something happens with this woman. She's very similar to Madison Cawthorn in that I don't think they understand what their role is in a campaign or what their role is as a member of Congress. And they don't seem to really care about their districts. Part of the reason Madison Cawthorn lost was he was out partying every weekend outside of the district. And, Vegas and Texas and Florida and New York. And, these folks need an active member of Congress. I mean... And
paying all that money to his first cousin boyfriend? Assistant?
Yeah, he was on the federal payroll. I don't know where that guy is today, and I don't honestly. Nobody really cares about his sexuality, but it's more the hypocrisy of the whole thing. Man and a woman being the only way you can marry according to them, and they're playing around on the side. You know, the one thing that we are working on, we did get a secret tape of Boebert at a fundraiser recently, and it's amazing. We cut it down to about 3 minutes, but in 3 minutes she tells 16 lies.
Wow.
And not like, my husband's really, a good-looking guy. These are like significant lies. Like she garnered, or she was able to get $100 million for I-70 in the Glenwood Pass, which is a big deal in Colorado because they have, rock slides that shut it down and cut off the western part of Colorado. She didn't get that money. It was Joe Neguse from Boulder, the member of Congress, got that money. And she just bald-faced lies about this stuff in a way that, listen, I'm 57. I've been in politics with my family. I started when I was 10, a kid putting out literature and stuff. I have never heard a politician with such chutzpah tell so many lies in such a short period of time. 16 lies in 3 minutes.
Fascinating. What about you hear these comments that she's planning on opening her own church if she doesn't get reelected? Have you heard that?
Well, that wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me at all. She, at this fundraiser, when we got the video, there were also some pictures that she's not wearing her wedding ring anymore.
Oh, really?
And I don't know, maybe, maybe that's being cleaned or she's having it cleaned up or something. But who knows, my friend? But she wants to keep this grift going. I guarantee you. She and her husband both.
She wants to wash the dog blood off the.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
What about that big rumor you told me? Because we talked about it off the air, but then I saw you commented a few times on Twitter. Are we allowed to talk about that?
What's that big rumor?
Well, the big rumor about the wedding ring type of rumor.
Oh no! I mean that's come from other folks through email or online through us or to us, and obviously we don't care about her. It's none of our business what's going on in her marriage,
right?
But it's the hypocrisy of the whole situation where she thinks she's the Christian Woman of the Year globally, but she doesn't espouse or follow Christian values whatsoever.
I can tell you this. I just watched her give a speech recently, and her presentation on stage, that comes from speakers training within the Christian, church stuff, that training, that's how they teach a pastor to speak to the church, the way she does it up there and the way she walks around the stage. That's identical.
Yeah, I mean, she's more interested in drama than action. She loves to be the dramatic closer on stage.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she doesn't sing and dance at the same time, but anyway.
Okay, well, David Wheeler, American Muckraker, you can find him at, where is this? Yeah, I'm not going to be able to see anything on here.
That's all right. AmericanMuckrakers.com, and on Twitter, American Muck.
American Muck?
Yeah.
And
Muckrakers was too long.
Yeah, it is long. It is long. But now the thing is, what about her upcoming race? What are the odds we're going to have another second term?
What are the odds? Well, most recent poll had her opponent almost even, a guy named Adam Frisch.
Right.
Terrific guy, conservative Democrat business person. There was another poll that had Frisch ahead by 5 points, but who knows? It's a really big district. It's 2/3 of the landmass of Colorado. I mean, so it's a very big district. It is conservative. I think Trump won it in total, but She only won by 51% last time around in 2020, and she has not expanded her base. That's not been her strategy at all, or unintentional or not. So I think Adam has a real good shot. I mean, at this point, I'd probably give it 50-50.